Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Breeze. Breezeway Productions The Breeze, where we bring you the latest in independent films and film festival news. And we're excited to kick off this year's Tribeca Film Festival, the 2022 edition. And we got a lot of great filmmakers lined up to hear from that are going to be included in this year's festival. And we're starting with the film An Act of Worship. And we're happy today to have Director Nausheen Dadabhoy here with us today to talk about it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
For sure. Thank you for coming on the show to talk about An Act of Worship. So tell us a little about your documentary.
So the film looks at the last 30 years of Muslim life in America from the perspective of Muslim Americans.
Okay. Very short and sweet. I like that. I had just finished watching the film and I'm excited to talk about some of the aspects that are involved in it. Tell me how you found your subjects that you interviewed first. We can start in the beginning when you go through the family history of your main subject.
So AMEENA Mirza Ghazi is somebody who actually used to work with my sister at CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations in Los Angeles. She's a civil rights attorney. My sister used to be a civil rights attorney working for her. And we met actually when the protests were happening at LAX. We had met before, casually, but that's when I sort of just like gravitated towards her with the camera and was like, we need to film you. And luckily she was willing to go along on this journey with us. And so that's how we met AMEENA. And after the airport protests, we actually went into like a long development phase where so my producer Hiba El Urbani and I were traveling across a lot of the US looking for activists in different communities and trying to understand what kind of issues each community was dealing with, like depending on where they were geographically. Mm-hmm. And we ended up in Detroit, Michigan, and New York is home. So we were obviously trying to find somebody here as well. And that's through just like word of mouth and, real on the ground kind of like going and meeting with a ton of people and having coffee and just, figuring out one who would be compelling on camera and be open to us filming with them in very intimate settings and for a long period of time. And three, people who were working on issues that we felt were relevant to the kind of story we were trying to tell.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when you went through the history of what happened in world events or that had serious political implications for many different countries and impacted many different families. And I guess we could start with the Oklahoma City bombing, which is where you started your trek throughout history of things that were done. How did you take this view when Timothy McVeigh was the one that actually did it, but then the media spun it so that the Muslim community ended up being the victims from this, and that the government changed to make things harder in life for them? You want to reflect on that?
Yeah, so I actually I do want to correct you. We start in the 1990s with the first Gulf War. That's the first like historical incident that we discuss.
Sure.
But the Oklahoma City bombing, I think, is like representative of a lot of the issues that we see with Muslim representation in the United States, that there is like an inherent connection between Islam and terror. And, I think it was important for us to highlight in our historical timeline that this connection predates 9/11, and this connection is not just a connection that's made when there is a Republican president. It's pretty universal to the core of US policy, domestic and international. And when the Oklahoma City bombing had happened, before Timothy McVeigh was caught, Muslim communities had been visited and had, most members of the community had been questioned. But that was something that, I remember the Oklahoma City bombing, and I actually, just a few years later was actually visited the site of the bombing. We were on a road trip, and, it felt like it was 1995. It was the same year that it happened. So it felt really like kind of important to like go and kind of pay respects.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about community members being targeted after the bombing. And it was something that I learned while we were researching news archival and while we were talking to different community members for what make up like the community voices in our film.
Yeah, I did not know that either. So I found that to be very surprising when I saw that segment. So when you went to go visit the site, did they have like a marker or a plaque commemorating that the horrible incident that happened there? Or is it, do they have like an exhibit? Like at Ground Zero, they have the whole museum? No?
Yeah, no, this was like so soon after because it was
Wow.
It was 1995 or 1996. Like it was like pretty soon after the bombing. So it was still like, you know, just like a fence and, you know, kind of like homemade markers that people had put down or flowers or, you know, like a makeshift memorial. I actually haven't been there since, so I don't know what's there now.
Sure. The way that you ended the documentary was on some interesting deaf poetry, or you have one of your subjects that goes off on a very literate, not rant, more like speech, very powerful speech. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about her, since she was very, you know, outspoken, loud, speaking her opinions. And how did you end up working with her? Because that was a very strong ending to an act of worship.
Yeah, I mean, Khadijah Muhammad, who is the young activist that does like a spoken word poetry at the end of the film. That's something that she does as a part of her activism is spoken word poetry. Mm-hmm. And we, you know, I like one of the first things that happened when we started filming with her was seeing her perform that piece that's called Boxes. Mm-hmm. And it's very personal. And I think, like, you know, the film is kind of on this also very personal journey that's like kind of reflective of the personal journey that she's going on in the poem. And it just felt like a good way to tie those things together.
Well, it was very powerful. It definitely left a mark with me as it was ending. And you have the montage over, you know, the Post-it board that you utilized to showcase each of the different events over history. So it resonated and left an imprint with me. I think that the documentary was a great watch, informative, intricate, and well put together. Congratulations to you for being an official selection this year for Tribeca. And it will be screening. Where and when will it be screening at the festival? Since that's coming up right around the corner, 2 days?
3 days, yeah. The festival starts in 2 days. Our first screening is on Thursday, June 9th. The second one is June 10th, and the third one is June 12th. There's also like a panel related to the film that has Muslim storytellers that talk about the importance of storytellers from marginalized communities telling their own stories. And we're really excited. We have Hamza Sayed, who's one of the co-hosts of the serial podcast, The Trojan Horse Affair. Sana Amanat, who's the co-creator of Ms. Marvel, which is also launching in 2 days. Nice. And Camila Rashad, who is with the Muslim Wellness Foundation. And I'm going to be there with them in very illustrious company with one of the subjects of our film, ABER. Yeah, so we're like very excited about it.
Very nice. That is a stellar lineup. So you get a film and a panel and lots of activities going on in New York. Is there any social platforms or websites that people can go to check out the film, like an Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, or anything like that?
Yeah, we just released like a teaser a couple days ago. So you can check out a teaser for the film, and it's on all of our social platforms. If you look up at An Act of Worship on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can find us.
Right on. Well, let's take a look at that teaser right now.
Hi, so I'm gonna quickly just play some random piece of music over here and hope it goes well. See how it goes, okay? It's just gonna be so bad.
I have a baby sister. I like her very much.
What's her name?
AMEENA.
My dad used to sit on the edge of my bed every night and recite a prayer of protection over my sister and I. My parents got calls telling them, your children will be next. That experience taught them to keep their religion and culture hidden.
And the first day of class, the teacher made me stand up and tell people what it's like to be Iraqi. Like I was like this specimen, like this alien.
Farouk, what a weird name. I don't know why your parents named you that. You should be Jimmy. I'm gonna call you Jimmy.
I had something inside of me being like, I don't know who I am.
I have to scream louder. I'm Black, I'm Muslim, I'm here in order to be heard.
It took years to rediscover that assertive, bold person. Every day, I choose that path of resistance.
Very nice. Very nice. In closing, is there anything that you'd like to say to the Tribeca Film Festival for the official selection this year?
Yeah, we're just, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think thank you feels like, yeah, feels obvious, but we're super excited. We're super excited, not just to be at Tribeca, which is obviously a huge honor, but we're super excited to have a hometown premiere. All of us are from New York, and we're really excited to be able to share the film with family, friends, and so many of the people that have contributed to it.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, we hope that our audiences are able to check out the film, An Act of Worship, which will be releasing on June 9th. So check out their IMDb as well. And I appreciate you for stopping by, Nausheen Dadabhoy, the director of the film, to talk about An Act of Worship.
Thank you.